So we saved the best for the last. Our last session is AI and research analysis by Vikram Srinivasan, who has a strong background in AI and machine learning, PhD from UC San Diego, adjunct professor at IISc and co-founder at Needl.ai. The session will be moderated by Varun Goenka. Varun has over 24 years of experience in the capital markets. Currently serves as the director and fund manager at ValueQuest Investment Advisors, where the firm manages around 2.3 billion in assets, and has a proven 14-year track record in fund management. So please join me in welcoming Vikram Srinivasan and Varun Goenka.
Thanks for having me. I'm kind of a last-minute fill-in, so I'm the emergency replacement. I think there was supposed to be another talk, and the speaker couldn't make it. So last night, the organizers called me and said, "Could you rush in?" So I've sort of come in with very short notice. So sort of forgive me if some of it looks a little bit hurried and put together. It is a little bit hurried and put together. The other aspect is I seem to be a constant at some of these CFA events. Some of the folks here came up to me and said they've heard me speak twice before. One at an event in, I think the CFA Wealth Management event in Parel a few months ago, and then the same event last year. So if I'm repetitive, apologies. So you're kind of stuck with me. I kind of like the CFA society. I hope you guys like me back. So third time's lucky. So let's see how this goes, right? So I'll try to do this a little bit different from the last two talks that I gave to the CFA Society, where I was sort of zooming out and sort of gazing in a crystal ball and talking about where AI is headed and how it could be applicable in the in finance in general. And I think some folks came back to me and said it was too technical or it was too deep, and I want to understand, how it can be applied to my work and how it's applicable to me. So this talk today, I'll try and talk a little bit more in detail about how AI is applicable to every one of you. No, I don't know about every one of you, but at least some of you for sure. And I'll be talking a little bit about this company that we've been brewing for the last few years. We're called Needl.ai. And so the idea is we are all living in a world of too much information overload and information coming from very, very different places. And how do you sort of find the needle across all these multiple digital haystacks, right? And how do you stitch together the insights that you need? So that's what we've been working on. So we've got some good industry recognitions. We've been recognized by Microsoft as an AI first mover. Microsoft takes us out to some customers too. And it's been a fun journey so far. And I'll talk about some of the ways in which we are trying to help folks in asset management companies and broadly the BFSI sector, right? I think the motivation for this, so for those of you who don't know, my partner in crime in this company is Kuntal Shah. I think you saw him in the first session as a moderator, and this sort of started as a personal pain point of his, and we met over a few weekends and we decided to get going on this company. And the primary motivation is the following, right, which is there is too much information. All of us are, you're getting your emails, your WhatsApp alerts, you're getting, from the filings, you're getting all kinds of exchange filing updates, you're getting news, there is Twitter, and it's just too much of overload, and you're spending a lot of time organizing your information, putting it into files and folders, figuring out what to focus on, what not to focus on, and so on and so forth, right? So the idea was, how do we sort of try and build a platform that helps you to eliminate all of this noise and just focus on what matters, right? So this is what we do, and it's a very, very ambitious charter, which is we try to bring, so there are sort of three layers to what we do. And we primarily serve enterprises in the BFSI sector. And the bottommost layer is the data layer, where we say that we'll bring together all the information you care for, irrespective of where it originates, right? So the information could be on the public web, it could be Twitter. I heard a lot of folks talk about Twitter today. It could be all kinds of news sources. It could be information coming from regulatory sources, your Bombay Stock Exchange, SEBI, so on and so forth, and information that is residing within your enterprise, your SharePoint drives, your emails, chat applications, note-taking applications, etc. And it's a very Lego brick model. We bring together whatever information sources you care for, and we put it together for you. The second piece is of this is the intelligence layer, and in the intelligence layer, we sort of try to take all of these gazillion streams of information coming at you and try to make sense of it and help you to do exactly what you need or serve up exactly the information you need, right? And there are two aspects to it. One is, of course, search, the ability to search and find the information in this large voluminous data. And apologies for that technical term called RAG, but what you can think of is it's essentially ChatGPT on your data, right? Today, ChatGPT works on public data, or Perplexity works on public data. Can you do ChatGPT on your own information sources that you care for, right? And the second piece is something called custom AI assistants or agents, which sort of do a lot of information synthesis for you. From all this diverse information coming in, I think the Jarvis folks spoke about some amazing things. I think this is very similar in nature, which is you look at all these data points, all this information streaming in at you, and try to extract and synthesize only what matters, right? And then we serve it up in various ways. We sort of, when we started this company, we tried to build, we were inspired by Lord of the Rings, right? One ring to rule them all. So we thought we'll build one app to rule them all, and that kind of didn't work. So now what we are doing is sort of unbundling a platform and delivering information to you wherever you are. So you can get information delivered to you in your email, the synthesized information delivered to you on WhatsApp, or we can build custom UI for your particular enterprise, right? So that's essentially what we do. And we, of course, in India, we are a highly regulated industry, especially in the asset management, the BFSI sector in general. There is a lot of data localization requirements. So we can deploy on our customers' infrastructure, on-prem, on their cloud, so on and so forth. Okay. So there are three, as I said, three fundamental pieces. The Needl feed, which is essentially you can think of it as auto-organizing all your information into a file and folder. It could be about your portfolio companies, it could be on a specific topic, so on and so forth. These assistants, I'll show you some examples, document synthesis assistants, summarization assistants, and the ability to talk to your data. Okay. So with that, I'll try to make this very live and real. So I'll sort of show you things in action. So first off, as I said, we bring together all kinds of enterprise information, all the Microsoft ecosystem, Google ecosystem. We respect privacy. We don't, we don't let data to leak, model to leak, etc. We bring together information from a gazillion web sources. You can add more. There are tens of thousands of sources. We can keep adding more. And information from the capital markets. We do India, the Bombay Stock Exchange, all SEBI, CRISIL, earnings call transcripts, so on and so forth. We do the US, we now do Australia and New Zealand also, right? So once we have sort of brought all this information together, the next question is what can we start doing with it, right? So first, I'm sure all of you have used ChatGPT. So can I sort of start doing ChatGPT on the data sources you care for, right? And today the problem is there is a Microsoft Copilot which will work potentially on your internal data. Then there is ChatGPT or Perplexity which works on external data, but nothing that works on all the data sources you care for. So if you ask a question like what are the risks of Bajaj Finance and compare with its leading competitors, so we have some reasoning models which sort of understands and breaks down the question into sub-questions. What are the risks associated with Bajaj Finance? What are the risks associated with leading competitors? So it sort of figures out who are the leading competitors and then gives me a detailed answer, right? And this answer, we come up with citations and references. So for all of you, So for all of you who have used ChatGPT and things like that, you know that a fundamental problem of large language models is that it hallucinates, right? It cooks up information, it makes up information. So we want to make sure that we have verifiability and trustworthiness at every level of what we do. Because I'll just going back to one slide, right? While ChatGPT and all of that sounds great, the hardest part, right, in enterprise scenarios or where you're making money decisions, ChatGPT gets you around 60 to 70% of the way, because it's primarily a probabilistic engine. It just is flipping a coin and deciding what comes up next. But if you want to make it 90% accurate, reliable, etc., you need to do 3x more work. And if you want to make it 99.9% accurate and reliable, you need to do, it's even 10x more difficult, right? So it's this 3x and 10x is where we come into play, because we know how to work with these AI systems to make sure that there is extremely high reliability, verifiability, and accuracy in what we put out there. Okay, and that's sort of the premise of what we do. So for example, here for this question, we have sourced information from your emails, we have sourced information from Economic Times, we have sourced information from BSE presentations, we have sourced information from I think an earnings call transcript, so on and so forth, right? So it's really a 360-degree view of all your information so that you get exactly what you need out of the system, right? You're not looking at bits and pieces here, you're not switching between a Perplexity and then jumping to a jumping to ChatGPT and then coming into your Copilot, so on and so forth. You don't need to do that, right? I'll show you some other examples of what we do, and this goes back to your investment analysis flow, right? Which is, and I think the Jarvis speaker also spoke a bit about it, which is how do you analyze large complex documents and create very custom built reports out of that, right? So I think there's this company Vari Energies which went IPO very recently, a few months ago, and I think was doing pretty well on the market. And the DRHP document that they put out was a 600-page DRHP document, which is very, very, very dense. I think if you read it or go through it, you'll realize it's an extremely complex and dense document, right? And we were able to generate, again, I'll show you, I'll come back to the accuracy and verifiability in just a bit, but this is something that we had to send out to a customer, where we could generate almost a 40-page report, which covers all these sections, right? So the customer sort of told us what they wanted extracted out of these kind of DRHP reports, the business overview section, operational metrics, risk factors, supply chain and raw materials, and come up with a very, very detailed report, including, you know, all kinds of tables, numbers, and I'll talk to you a little bit about why these are verifiable. I'll show you a different interface where we can show exactly why it's verifiable and highly accurate, right? And we were able to come up with this almost 40-page report that was very, very accurate, right? Another example, I mean, I'm sure all of you do initiating coverage. So I'm sort of going through the flow. So you start with a DRHP. Now you have a publicly listed company. Maybe you've invested, or you're starting to now look at certain, you've run your screeners and you're starting to decide what companies to invest in. Your screeners give you a candidate set of companies, and then you want to do a initiating coverage on that, right? So you then pick up a binder, which is essentially your, you know, certain number of years of annual reports, earnings call transcripts, analyst reports, etc. And we can generate this, you know, again, we were talking about minutes, etc. The customer told us roughly outline of what kind of report they wanted, and we were able to generate this within an hour, right? Again, 35+ page report with all kinds of details, company overview, key management team, SWOT analysis, investment rationales, peer comparison, etc. that we could send out to our customer within like a few hours, right? So this again, I mean, the customer tried this on ChatGPT, tried it on us, and I think the evaluation we got was for this report, 5 rating on ChatGPT was about 5 or 6, and rating for us was about 8, because we had turned this around in really, really quick time, right? So very, very accurate, detailed report, which helped the customer go out to market, right? Now, you're asking me, you know, I have all these PDFs, great, but I know large language models hallucinate. how do I verify what you're putting out is correct or true, right? So we not only generate PDFs, but we can also generate the same report in an alternative form, right, in this HTML form. What does this allow you to do, right? This allows you to trust and verify because we give you citations, right? So this is a maintenance coverage report for HDFC, okay, coming from earnings call transcripts and a whole bunch of other analyst reports. Now here we give you citations as to where exactly each piece of information comes from, right? And the interesting part is if you have, the verifiability is very easy because this 3.47 number has come from the investor presentation. So I can immediately look it up, and also some analyst reports, right? So we are pointing to the exact table location where the analyst report, in the analyst report where this number is coming from. So it becomes very, very simple for you to trust and verify what these numbers are, right? So the hallucination problem or the challenge that you have, that if you trust this blindly without verification, and if you're generating 20, 30 page reports, I mean, verifying those is also as time consuming as generating the report, then you're toast, right? So if we give you this kind of capability, then you have the ability to verify these numbers right out of the box, and you can go to market and make decisions with confidence, right? I'll give you a couple of other examples, and these are all reports where we have taken almost 500 pages of documents and sort of synthesize this into a very easily consumable report with all kinds of information. Another example is an NVIDIA binder where we had again earnings call transcripts and whole bunch of analyst reports, again several hundreds of pages, and we were able to generate it with high confidence, right? So we can give you the company overview, what the analyst is talking about in these key aspects of the company, what are the analyst insights. Everything is trustable, verifiable, so you don't have to go out and sort of make sure that what we are generating is, is just a figment of imagination or is actually true, right? Similarly, we have been working, and this is a different case, it's not with an asset management company, but with a ratings agency, right? It's a flip side of what an asset management company does. There they wanted to analyze, for example, an annual report in a certain templatized format that they required. And again, we generated a detailed annual report summary in the format that they wanted, right? And this is getting automated. They want to cover some 4,000 plus companies on an annual basis, right? So these are the kinds of things that we are able to do. I'll just show you, and again, going back to the citations and verifiability. So for example, if you want annual report, just MD&A summaries delivered in your inbox, we can give you a quick glance annual report summary delivered in your inbox as a PDF, again with citations and references. So you click on this reference, this is an MD&A summary, revenue analysis, expenditure analysis, etc. And if you click on any of these points, it takes you to the exact location in the report where it came from, right? Just give me a second. It loads up, and it came from here, right? So it's a very complex PDF document, etc., that we are able to analyze, right? I can go on and on. This is a sectoral report. This is of the semiconductor sector, where we have about 115 articles from different sources about companies, CHIPS Act in the US, so on and so forth. And we are able to create a very, very, very detailed report out of that with accuracy, verifiability, citations, etc. What we are coming up next is the ability to talk to this data also, so that's coming up shortly, right? So now let's switch gears a little bit. So I'll talk about a different use case in the asset management world, which is institutional sales, right? So all of you, many of you are probably working for large AMCs, where you sort of are reaching out to institutions to park their money with you, right, in your debt funds or whatever. So one of the asks that's come to us and which we are serving is that the institutional sales teams, for example, want to track all kinds of liquidity events, right, where it could be an acquisition, it could be capex plans, mergers, so on and so forth. This is extremely customizable based on what the customer wants. So based on this, we are actually sending out these kinds of emails to the customer, to the institutional sales teams, so that they figure out then which of these institutions to reach out to park their money with them, right? So there are two scenarios here. You might want to track specific companies who are already in your, who are already your customers. We can do that. An alternate scenario is where you want to sort of hunt for new opportunities, right? These could be startups which have come up with a huge Series D funding, Series E funding, so on and so forth, right? So we can generate all of these for you and send it to you and deliver it to you in your email, right? Now you might again want to follow companies, right, in your portfolio, right? As a fund manager, you might want to follow companies in your portfolio. So we can create a portfolio tracker for you coming from Bombay Stock Exchange, coming from all kinds of news events out there, and again send a summarized information. Again, the key is the AI sort of weeds out the noise and only picks up the most important information that you care for and sends it to you in your email, delivered to you on a daily basis, right? I'll now talk about a different use case. This is not asset management companies at all, but this is a trading use case, which we are working with a APAC company. So there the use case is, there's this renewable energy company which has traders, and the traders sort of make daily bets on the energy markets to hedge for, as hedges, right? And what they wanted is they have a very customized set of news sources and internal sources that they wanted to track. And they had criteria on what is actually market moving information that would matter to them, right? So based on this, we are generating alerts from the exchanges, from the New Zealand exchanges and Australian exchanges. And we are also sending them daily summaries before market starts as to what is the interesting things that have happened in the market, right? And a lot of people have been talking about, how do you demonstrate the value of AI, right? And here is a clear win for us, which is within 3 weeks of implementing this solution for the traders in that market, the traders were able to make up to $250,000 a day based on the information that we were giving them, right? So clear, measurable ROI based on the information that we were giving them. These are just a couple of different kinds of alerts that we generated. Now I'll move to the banking sector. So in the banking sector, when you do institutional lending, right? When you do institutional lending, this is going back to reports. You need to sort of write what is called a credit note. This is sort of similar to what you do with an initiating coverage report, etc. So this is a credit note report that we have generated for the banking sector on Polycab. Again, what they look for, etc., the customers gave us exactly what they required, and now we are able to generate this in a few minutes and send it out to them, right? Now let me switch to another use case. I'm sort of trying to cover a spectrum of use cases in the BFSI sector. So this is for one of the largest payment gateway companies in the world. It's number 2 to Stripe. And what is happening for them is that as they expand globally, right? I mean, they are global. What is happening is the credit card companies, MasterCard, Visa, etc., are sending them daily or weekly bulletins, which is updating the transaction fees that need to be charged for different geographies for different types of transactions, right? So now these bulletins, there are 2 aspects to it. So a bulletin looks like, no, this is the guide. So a bulletin could be anywhere from a 2-pager, something like this, right, which is a simple set of tables. And it could also come along with a guide. A guide is a 2,500-page document. Now to sort of, what the analyst needs to do is to sort of look through these bulletins. These could range from 2 to 20 pages. Also look through these guides and generate a newsletter which can be communicated to their customers, which says exactly what changes in transaction fees are coming up for which kinds of products in which geographies. And why is this important? If you communicate this incorrectly, what ends up happening is you will have to later reconcile hundreds of millions of dollars of transactions which have been charged at an incorrect processing fee. That is one huge problem. The second problem is the regulators could come and fine you because you're not been charging the actual right fees to your customers, right? So there are these two problems. So this huge business reputation risk loss, fine loss, and this reconciliation of the books, which could have huge material implications, right? So what we are doing with them is we are generating these auto-generated AI newsletters, which are highly accurate, highly verifiable, which can be sent out to the merchants. So this is reducing the amount of there are three benefits to this. One, the amount of time, of course, and productivity that an analyst has to spend in doing this kind of analysis. Second, even if analysts do, when you have to go through 2,500 pages of reports or whatever, the likelihood of human error is high, right? Now, going back to some of the discussions, does it mean you don't have a job and all of that? No, what this means is if you have AI assisted humans, then the likelihood of an error goes down dramatically, right? So you can operate your business with much more confidence, right? So these are the kinds of things that we are doing. I will leave you with one last example of where we also generate alerts, early warning signals or alerts that can get delivered on your WhatsApp, for example, right? So if you have a portfolio company like, I was just looking at this, yeah, like whatever, IRCON has been awarded an EPC contract, you might want to know some information like that. Various kinds of early warning signals. So we have a pre-built set, but if you want customized early warning signals based on what you care for, we can customize and tailor it for our customers, right? I mean, not for individuals, but for enterprises. So that's roughly what we do. And we are seeing a lot of uptake in the BFSI sector, not just in India, but globally. And I guess preempting some of the questions, AI is here to stay. AI is going to be big in the BFSI sector. It's not going to replace humans, but it's going to be augmenting humans. And with that, I will thank everyone here for sort of listening to my jugaad speech at some level. And I'm happy to take questions, and maybe Varun can come up. So.
Be sharing the mic. Okay.
I have a.
Vikram, I'm not flattering you, but very refreshing. I think we all were getting a bit overdosed from the whole days thing. We can't deny it, but what you're showing is truly remarkable. I myself have used Needl off and on. Obviously, I know a little bit about the journey Kuntal Bhai has been sharing for the last 5 years. So really congratulations on reaching where you guys have. It's been a very tough journey, but whatever little I know now, you guys have crossed the valley of death, and the kind of capabilities that Needl has built, I mean, the audience is here to see. I hope this recording is shared with more people so that they're aware of what you're building.
Thank you.
So let us first humbly submit that just like we transition from typewriters to computers and smartphones, we need to transition our workflows, right? We need to go from overload to curation and become smart at it. I don't think so we can be in denial mode anymore. So can you just simplify for our sake that at what point does advanced analytics really cross to artificial intelligence? How do you define artificial intelligence? This word is getting too overused without actually the meaning behind it being understood.
Yeah, so Varun, I think you already shared your list of questions with me, all hard questions. So let me try and answer. I think this is a great question, right? So analytics, advanced analytics to artificial intelligence. I think we had a sort of, earlier in the day, we had someone explaining that a little bit. what I would call advanced analytics is more at some level human driven computations and deterministic math formulae, right? So you prescribe what functions or what algorithms or what equations you want to put into the system and what output you want out of it. So as a human, you know what signals are important, what ratios are important, what methods of maybe value calculation is important, and you sort of feed that, and what the machine has enabled is just good computation, right? So faster computation. So that is all it is. Now where I think we are sort of crossing over into is, I think the machine is very easily able to figure out with very minimal inputs from the human, two things it's able to do, right? One, it's able to also figure out what are the right signals to look at, and I mean it could be correlation, perhaps not causation. And the second is the kind of computations it does, fortunately or unfortunately in the AI world, is I would say what I call these nonlinear computations. So it is sort of figuring out the right equations to fit into the data it is seeing, right? There is no way a human will be able to say that looking at these points x, y, and z, the function to fit is x cubed y to the power 5 e to the power z, right? That we are not capable of, none of us here in this room are capable of doing. The machine is able to do that kind of complex function fitting.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the sooner we realize our limitations, I think we have cognitive intelligence, which probably we're good at, but emotional intelligence, but IQ, I think we overrate ourselves. So computational capability and IQ. So since this community up here is more about investors, finance, and that world, could you suggest some programs that we could learn, like these Microsoft Copilot programs, and NVIDIA also has their own, some programs that we could do to become a poet? You need to learn a certain language. We learned Microsoft Office over the years. So to learn this world of GPT, AI, can we do some programs?
So I don't, so I think that's a fantastic question, right? And I think the answer is difficult. So
so you need to build a program at Flame so that we could.
No, the reason I say the answer is difficult is, see, if you have to build a program or if you need to build experts on how to use certain things, then you need to understand, by understand I don't mean the internals of it, you need to understand the boundaries of what something can and cannot do, right? What ChatGPT can do and what you shouldn't expect it to do. I think the first program, I know there are, I mean, there's a Microsoft Copilot and all of that, but I think the first thing is to set, I think there needs to be a program to even set expectations of what to expect of AI, right? The challenge we have right now is, I see a huge expectation mismatch because everyone is overhyping and overselling AI, right? And so there is a value of, we are in that Gartner cycle of, I think, disappointment, because people go in expecting that they can have, they're talking to a smart human, but it is garbage in and garbage out, right? So I think even the prompt engineering, and I think there are programs around prompt engineering or how to ask the right prompts so you can extract what you need out of it. There needs to be some formalized programs. But there, the challenge that we have is the following, right? Which is, even assuming you know the boundaries of what you can expect out of a system, the field is evolving way too fast, right? Even for someone like me who's an expert, and I keep telling Kuntal also this, which is, in the morning I wake up, I don't know what is going to come out that's going to disrupt me, right? Like 3 years ago when ChatGPT came, I thought I was useless. I mean, all my years of effort had gone in vain because it was doing something amazing, right? So I don't think we are at, the point I'm making is the system is in such a state of flux that anything you formalize today will be outdated tomorrow. So we need to wait a little for something to get, then for there to be some stability in the system.
So on a lighter note, I was telling Vikram that I think you guys are chasing the wrong problem. What if you solve for how can AI do exercise for me, what to buy for my wife's anniversary, you'll probably make $1 billion sooner. But unfortunately, those are the hard things left to us.
Yeah.
So given the explosion of so many websites and apps, like you just mentioned, I think a year back or 2 years back, it was so simple. There was one OpenAI.
Yeah.
How do is there a framework or a checklist that we can evaluate different apps' competency,
Yeah.
Otherwise it's getting,
Yeah.
what do you subscribe and what do you use it for?
So that's a great question, right? And again, that's not an easy answer. So if you look at all these models that are coming out in the market, they will always publish it by talking about something called the MMLU benchmarks, right? Okay. So now let me explain what the technical fancy term is. So at the end of the day, what they're trying to evaluate is what skills is this darn thing good at, right? So in the AI world, the researchers have come up with different sets of skills to evaluate AI models on. It could be on math, it could be on general reasoning, it could be on creativity, so on and so forth. There's a benchmark of 10 different things, right? Now the challenge is, I think, okay, let me finish this and then tell you the thought I have in my mind. The challenge is different models are good at different aspects or different skills. It's no different from humans, right? Every one of these models is good at or sort of shines at a certain skill and doesn't do so great at a certain other skill, right? So now from an investment landscape, right, the question is, what do you want to use AI for, right? If it is just to reach out to customers and draft beautiful emails, for example, then I think maybe a chat GPT is great, right? But if you want it to be grounded in, say, certain public information, if you want to do some more analysis, then Perplexity is very good. And the advantage of Perplexity, for example, is I think it's a very good tool because it also allows you to pick the different models underneath. So the problem we are facing, and Kuntal also says this to me, is A, we have a basket of models, each with different skills. B, we have different apps, each with different capabilities. And some of these apps allows you to choose which model you want. So you're living in a cross-product world, right? So now the question is, what skill do you want that AI to excel in? So now you need to write the exam or the checklist for that particular skill that you're evaluating it on to make sure that it works for you. Unfortunately, I don't have an easy answer.
So we are in a generation where we saw the birth of, let's say, an Amazon, which unified, let's say, different categories and products. So we had lesser choices. I think even the choice between different OTTs is a lesser choice, but now
it's
within these, it's getting a bit difficult.
So let me just sort of say that one statement that somebody was talking about AI working reliably 24/7. I think the first talk today, right? So when AI, this generation of AI came out, my thought process was 100 years ago, the challenge we had was humans didn't work 24/7, whatever, 8 hours or 40-hour weeks, and humans were temperamental, right? One day somebody works great, next day they have an off. Then came the era of compute and software and automation and all of that. Then we lived in an era where the machines worked 24/7, but because the automation was reliable, it always, for the same input, it always produced the same output. You can sleep peacefully. But now in the era of AI, we have actually taken a step back because the machines work 24/7, but they're temperamental, right? And that's what I sort of alluded to. So you sort of, I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but we are sort of living in a very, very interesting era in terms of automation.
you might want to rethink 40 hour a week.
Oh yeah, 90 hours, sorry.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
No, not at all. So, one of the areas which seems to be a little difficult to crack, I think Needl has already cracked capital market information related, PDF summarizing, document summarizing, a lot of capabilities. But there's one area I struggle with is something like YouTube or video analytics. So is there a tool which we can, where news which is embedded in the form of video or YouTube scan, scalp, grab, can we use any of that? Or what are the tools that we could be a little ahead of rather than it coming to us?
Yeah. So I think, I mean, if you want simple and good YouTube analysis, for example, I think Google's Notebook LM is a fantastic tool. You paste the link and it gives you a superb transcript out of it. But I think what you are asking for is a constant scan of certain YouTube
If we
channels.
define a certain area of YouTube, otherwise it'll be too big a thing, can it scan for keywords, behavior? Can it scan for something
so I mean,
that we ask?
Needl can do that to some extent.
Okay.
But that's based on not the video analytics, but the description analysis in the YouTube, right? So that we can do. But doing real time, if you want to analyze the entire video, it starts becoming a very expensive proposition.
Right.
So if people are willing to pay, it's doable. But the question is, are people willing to pay that kind of money?
I know. Very complex area to get into.
So it's
we are yet
all
to conquer even document analysis yet. So in our profession of investing, academics does not teach us how to interpret people behavior or culture or more softer aspects, you know. So again, sentiment analysis is too shallow a word, but again, how can we use these tools? Because there's too much of sugarcoating happening these days through presentations and all that. So again, if you can help us with suggestions, as we know about the financial part, we know about the summarization part, but how do we use it for interpreting more softer aspects of behavior? How do we corroborate long-term history with near-term actions?
I mean, that's a...
I'm overloading our problems to you, of course.
No, it's not it's my problem too, right? Because when I deal with customers or whatever, I need to do the same kind of behavioral interpretation of what's going on the other side. And that's a fundamental problem, right? How do you sort of dig below the tip of the iceberg and understand what's going on? I don't know if... So I'll tell you how I use some of these AI or ChatGPT or any of these tools, right? For me, it's a great brainstorming buddy, right? So if we have to do any kind of analysis, and it could include, so there is a whole span of research that goes into, as you said, sentiment analysis, tone analysis, and all of that. But you can't do that real time. I mean, if you're having a conversation with someone, you can't do that real time. But if you're analyzing the transcript, there are people doing that for different kinds of conversations, from sales conversations to management conversations, right? There are enough and more tools around that. But even that, I think, doesn't get to the subtext and subcontext that I think you're looking for, because sentiment is too binary. It's just, did he sound gung-ho, or did he sound positive? He might have just been tired, he might have been up late at night, or the reasons could have been n number of reasons, right? So what I find useful in my analysis, or if you want to even reflect on analyzing conversations, meetings that you've had, is to use some of these tools as brainstorming brainstorming buddies, right? To sort of probe, this is what I said, what do you think about it? It comes back with an analysis, then you can probe
further. Can it identify contradictions between what the management has said earlier, now, what the numbers reflect or commentaries reflect?
So that's a for that, we'll have to build specialized tools, specialized agents that are able to do those kinds of tasks. So again, if you have a narrow, well-defined task, right? As in, if I want, I mean, and I think there are tools. I've seen one in the US. I forget the name, which looks at maybe it's AlphaSense, but which looks at what was said in the past and whether the numbers corroborate what was said in the past, right? Whether there's a correlation between how gung-ho the management was, what they said in, say, a year ago versus what numbers they're seeing now. But those are possible to build, right? That's not that hard. But I think you were asking for some more subtle analysis out there. But yeah.
It's a learning curve.
Right.
But I have tried to upload, let's say, a bunch of transcripts in chronology, and yeah, you do find some inconsistencies, but then again you put in, okay, us samay COVID ho gaya tha, and
Nice.
this is why they could not deliver,
Yeah.
or this is why the thing has changed.
Yeah.
The world is also becoming a VUCA
Right.
place. And
So, no, that's a great question, Varun. So, again, this goes back to the boundaries of what you can expect
right,
from
yeah.
a large
No,
language
we're
model, right?
expecting too much.
So,
yeah.
yeah, so this is this idea of when you ask an AI system real time to do certain things, right? Ask it questions and expect it to give very nuanced domain expert level answers. There is no chat interface today, whether it's DeepSeek or ChatGPT, which can give nuanced expert level answers in real time, right? But what AI has allowed you to do is, if you give us what is called time to think, and which is the buzzword in the AI world today, right? Then we can build solutions for you which can look for these nuances and answer questions or do document synthesis across large number of documents and get you the answers you need. But that requires work from experts like us. It's plain vanilla ChatGPT will not do it for you.
So now it's been over 5 years since you started work on Needl,
Yeah.
and you would have gained so much of knowledge in processing all the capital market data.
Yeah.
So can you share some learnings, how you were able to discern where there is noise maximum, where there are signals, which areas for sure us as analysts and money managers should move to in adopting tools? I'm asking a technologist to help us. Okay, this is where we are redundant. Please move ahead and start using this. And these are the sources of information. For example, even news feeds. You've done so much of work on this.
Yeah.
So I'm asking, what is the synthesis of last 5 years of experience?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think.
And you came from very objective background, you know.
Yeah.
You're not from capital market earlier.
No, no, that's fantastic. So, I mean, that's absolutely right, right? So, the problem that we are seeing is, I mean, there are obvious sources of noise, obviously. Let me put it this way. I don't think there are consistent good sources of I mean, there is apart from the exchanges, right? I mean, like a Bombay Stock Exchange filings, that's the mother load of information. But for other sources of information, there is no consistent good source of information, right? Many people, for example, say money control is not the greatest source of information, but occasionally there is something which just shines out there, right? Which is a very good article. Maybe they've sourced it from somewhere else. Whatever, something comes up which is very interesting. So I don't think we should look at it from the point of view as what are the right sources of information. The question to ask is, can I weed out the noise and only focus on the right information? I don't care about the source. If I can connect all my sources and I have something that tells me a daily digest, which is, this is the 10 things you need to look at to start your day, right? It could come from anywhere, it doesn't matter, right? Someone you consider an idiot who spouts the Bhagavad Gita, I mean, you should take the Bhagavad Gita out of it and not the fact that of who's saying it, right? So it's the information that matters. If you focus on that and focus on eliminating the noise, then you're in good shape. And the problem and the reason you're sort of coming up at it from a source point of view is there is just so much out there and you feel overwhelmed with it, right?
Yeah, what you said in the beginning, I mean, ultimately garbage in, garbage out. So if we are
Exactly.
able to control the quality of input, then we can have better expectations out of the
Yeah.
processing or computational output.
Exactly. So my reverse hypothesis or whatever, what I'm trying to say is, or what we are seeing now with AI is that with AI, you can use AI as a powerful tool to eliminate the noise. Don't control the input too much.
Okay.
The input is a stream that is flowing at you.
Okay.
You can't do much to that.
Right.
But you can put a filter in between, which is your AI filter, which makes sure that only what matters comes to you.
Right. Just from, since you're more closer to technology and you've seen the developments, which parts will get completely democratized, open source, free, that we don't have to pay for? You know, we are where we are. We Indians don't like to pay for, and which parts will be really hard to access? Will remain. I mean, something like the co-location with exchanges. The capabilities are only with institutional investors. So, how is it progressing in the financial world? Which parts of this solution will remain that we must use a paid version? Too many of us try to take the shortcut of just using the free version. And yesterday I was asking a simple question, since you showed the Vari DRHP, let's say solar IRR, and I used 3 different apps, one free version and 2 paid versions, and answers were completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that again, there are 2 answers to the question. One is going back to the boundaries of what AI can do, right? So if your IRR, the question involved computation, right? All large language models suck at doing math, right? So I'm not surprised they gave you different answers, right? If you ask the same question at different time, they would have probably done a different computation and come up with a different answer. So for math computations, use a calculator. Don't use AI, at least today, right?
Okay.
So for fact extraction, right? That is where AI comes in place. Information synthesis, which doesn't require computation, AI can play. So if you want to do computation on top of that, then you need to go towards more custom solutions that other folks build, right? So that is one aspect of it. Now, what is going to get democratized? I think the foundation model guys are going to get democratized, right? So I was telling, I think I had a discussion with Kuntal a few months ago also. If you just take the parallel with the .com era, right? Everyone thought Cisco was the hot thing, right? In the telecom infrastructure place. To me, the LLM provider, the foundation model providers are the equivalent of the infrastructure play. But nobody expected Amazon to become the winner out of it, right? Because they focused on what value to derive off the internet, right? The applications. So the value is going to migrate upwards, and which is why I think those lessons have been learned. If you look at OpenAI today, they're actually releasing applications also, right? They have a ChatGPT. They just released a sales agent, which is potentially could kill Salesforce. So everybody realizes that the value is up there, not at the foundation models. The foundation models, there will be progress, cost of compute will come down, cost of tokens will come down, all of that is going to come down over time. The question is, where does the eventual value lie? And there, I think lots of players will emerge, and I don't know if there'll be one winner, 1,000, 100 winners, I don't know what it's going to be.
So I'm asking as an example, let's say transcript, document summarization, the most simplest example. Needl is embedded with that solution. But the capabilities even within those are changing. So if somebody subscribed to a solution like Needl, would it be safe to say that you at your back end will keep switching to the ones
we go to whatever is the latest and greatest. So you don't have to figure out where to go to, right?
Yeah.
So
because otherwise we'll end up subscribing to everything.
The cross product, as I said, is too huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's where folks like you should be spending your time, right? You need to have a trusted partner who will make sure that they're keeping up with the latest and the greatest.
Yeah, I mean, if we go to Zomato, we we choose our restaurant. If we go to a certain OTT, we choose. So we need a interface
Exactly.
in
You'll
between
need
those
yes.
apps and capabilities,
Yeah.
which can maybe select and okay. How easy is it to copy these capabilities, or?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. Okay, to be honest, today I can give you an answer, tomorrow I don't. Okay, so because the space is moving so fast, so certain capabilities that we have built around large document processing, etc. I think we have a very niche, unique skill, ability to work at petabyte scale across data. Those are hard to operate on. But again, the way, like the document synthesis part of it, the speed at which AI is moving, it's the only thing okay, let me put it this way. Things cannot get exponentially better forever. So I think there's going to be a plateau that's coming up soon. And while people are saying it's going to, what I'm betting on is that the cost curves will fall, but I don't think this exponential growth in capabilities can go on forever. So I think there'll be a play for folks like us who are able to build. So bottom line, I don't think AGI is near, right? AGI is very, very far off.
I'm sorry, what is AGI?
Okay, for the folks who don't understand, AGI is the ultimate in artificial intelligence, which is artificial general intelligence. So the Terminator 2 kind of thing, right? Or the Matrix, the machines take over, do everything, and we are all zombies stuck with pipes coming out to supply energy. So that, I think we are very, very, very far. I don't think, given what I understand of how the systems are architected today, I don't think we are there yet, although lots of it looks magical. But I do think, so I think there will always be a play for people like us who understand the innards of these systems work, keep on top of the advances, and then serve different business vertical niches that are out there.
Sure. The last question for the day would be, rather than us asking ChatGPT or some, could you help us what Gemini is good for, what Copilot is good for, what DeepSeek is good for, these various capabilities?
Sure.
How should we look at them? Who is best at what?
Yeah, fantastic question. So Gemini is very good at document synthesis. They've just come out with Gemini 2.0 Flash or whatever. So if you want to upload large documents and extract things out of it, it is very, very good. DeepSeek, although there's a lot of buzz, right? The reason it was considered we can ignore the advances, but what it was very good at is the math questions, answering math questions. Okay, bottom line, that's what they try to specialize in, apart from being reasonably creative. And I think ChatGPT is overall, I think, still the winner in my opinion in terms of broad capabilities, cutting across the board, right? If you want to use it as a brainstorming buddy, I think nothing beats ChatGPT. If you want to ask it all kinds of complex questions across different realms, all of that, I've tried the Gemini on my phone, I've tried ChatGPT, world of difference. I've tried ChatGPT and DeepSeek. I mean, you ask it, I asked a very dumb question the other day, right? Like I asked DeepSeek, what do I do now, or whatever, some stupid question. I think it started assuming that I was depressed and started giving me advice on what I should do with my life, right? But ChatGPT is much smarter. They've sort of nailed all these edge cases, and it's a much more human-like conversation with ChatGPT.
And perplexity, here that word quite often these days.
Perplexity is brilliant, right? I mean, hats off to Vikram Srinivasan and the way they're executing. So perplexity is great when you want to sort of do quick research and talk, where you get answers grounded in real world data, right? You can try to, what I mean by that is it does a web search and then gets answers from different sources and puts it together in a very nice fashion. It's super quick. The presentation is brilliant. They have something called Perplexity Finance, where You can follow exactly, I mean, for every ticker symbol, they have a separate web page dedicated to it. I think it's perplexity.ai/finance/MSFT, for example, if you want to follow Microsoft. And on that page, you can get all the numbers, latest news, and when the earnings call happens, the live transcript starts streaming in there, right? So I think it's an absolutely brilliant tool if you want to do some research and follow certain portfolio companies, etc.
Right, let's call it a day. It's been a long day. I hope AI helps us find the right questions in life. I think half the battle is that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Once we're there. Thank you so much, Flame.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I have Kunal? Thank you so much, Vikram, on short notice. And, I think it's just been the third time. I think we'll call you another 15, 20 times at least. Thank you, everyone. I think I would like to have Mr. Shamit